Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Hey, so welcome to the show. Today's Thursday, and this is going out live on Mintwave Radio. If you've already got the Alexa skill, you can just ask her. Otherwise, go to the website above mintwave-radio.com. You can download the skill there, or you can download the app for Apple or Android for the Podbean podcast network. Take a look at our complete weekly schedule. See if there's any other podcasts on there that you would like to subscribe to or leave a comment. Now, today's episode is 183, and today we have Todd Taylor. He is a business success and mental fitness coach, and we're going to be talking about a peak performance power process, how to shift the balance in our mind to achieve positive and sustainable results. My name's Karen Roberts, and I am really here helping coaches get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. Now, Todd, as I've just said, is a mental fitness success coach, and he helps his clients discover the saboteurs that are holding them back by providing a straightforward and laser-focused approach through process-driven methodologies that concentrate on the root causes instead of the symptoms and forming new habits, opening up the sage powers that reside in all of us. So welcome to the show, Todd.
Karen, thank you very much. And you know what? You nailed that right on. So there's not much more I could say, right?
Right, we'll end it here. Right.
Let's just go have some coffee now.
Yeah. You've got your coffee. So while you're
Yes.
drinking your coffee, if you'd like to share with the listeners really a little bit more about you've got quite an interesting backstory. So how you came to be doing what you're doing now.
Okay, great. Yeah, and thank you. This all began, it's funny, as we mature, we start to look back in life and we can see how through the ebbs and flows and the trials and tribulations and everything, how we become the person that we are today. My journey began at a very young age. Out of high school, had an opportunity to start with a business out of North Hollywood, California. And I soon realized the potential that I had and the skills that I had. And because the owner was actually a gentleman that really saw value in his employees, helped me really discover all this untapped potential that I had. I started working there, became manager of the department I was hired for in less than 9 months. By the time I was 21, I was vice president of the company. And so after that, I started thinking one day, wow, if I could do this for this guy and I could make all this money for this company, I could certainly do those things for myself. So that's where my entrepreneurial journey began. And I set out to do my first company, which most people would have considered a great success. However, it bombed. It started off so great, but I just found myself running myself ragged, if you will, and not really enjoying life. So with that, I left that, let it go. I went for a sabbatical and then finally found what I thought was my purpose and passion, which was video production and marketing. So my background, how that came about is my father was in radio and television for most of his life. So I was very used to seeing him on TV doing the news. I was familiar with advertising and how that all went about because he was in marketing and advertising as well as the radio aspect of it. So my journey has been one where I've bounced around to a lot of things, but it's always come back to focusing on marketing, sales, and of course, my passion is video. So I love doing video, not so much in front of the camera, but a behind the scenes guy. And I've done everything from, I ran a television station for 6 years. I had my own radio show for about a year and a half. That was a wonderful time, great experience. And then after that, I started dabbling into digital marketing. Digital marketing trends started. I've even had a DVD authoring and replication business. As a matter of fact, that's when I first tasted the success of becoming a millionaire, was doing that. Shortly before that, though, I had the great opportunity to work with one of the most talented exercise fitness people in the world. Your viewers that are over, I don't know, 30, 40 years old will remember the name of Billy Blanks Tybo. And I was fortunate enough to do all the commercials, all the infomercials. I edited 117 workouts. I did a lot of events with Billy. I got to know him very well. So, as I said, I've got a lot of experience in business and developing and entrepreneurship. And how I became a coach was a couple of years ago. I had a couple of people that I was just talking to and said, "Man, with the knowledge that you have, why don't you consult or coach people?" Consulting and coaching are really two different things. Sometimes people confuse them. Consultants come in and tell you what to do, where coaches actually help you unlock what's already inside of you. And I started thinking about it, and then a few more people mentioned it to me as recently as a year ago. So I thought, what the heck? I was doing a digital marketing company. I thought, let's give it a try. So I started studying coaching and how to do it properly and everything else. And then all of a sudden, I came across on LinkedIn, I got an invitation for coaches only for a grant program through a company called Positive Intelligence, Shirzad Shameen. And I thought, this is interesting. And within that, it said that this guarantees sustainable results. Now, I've had many coaches and mentors in my life. And what happens is when you stop with the coaching, eventually everything just starts to fall off. So I took the challenge. I was accepted in the grant program, and I took this 7-week program called PQ. And what PQ is all about is discovering we all have within us 10 saboteurs, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show. And these saboteurs range from judge to stickler to hyperachiever, restlessness, hyper rational, even avoider. All of these things, we hold these things near and dear to us because we're used to them. And as human beings, it's just what we do. However, when you finally realize how these negative emotions are really impacting your life, your happiness, and keeping you from having a more fulfilling existence, it was quite eye opening. So I went ahead and did the assessment, took the course, and at the end of the course, I was totally blown away. It was literally a life change. I'm 61 years old, and this changed my life. And I thought to myself, everyone should know this. Everyone should do this because this is the thing that I've been searching for so long. And I'm hoping that now what I can do, because I've learned how to do it, and I'm going through my certification in it right now, is that I can help others achieve the life that they want.
Love
So
that.
that's where I'm at today.
Brilliant. It's the whole sort of subject really is, and we've spoken a few times before, is just absolutely fascinating because it's something that's not taught in school or college. And you go throughout your life and everybody's got a story, right? Everybody's got a different backstory. They've had different challenges to overcome throughout their going through childhood all the way into teen years, into adulthood. And all of us are just in, unless we've been introduced to something like what you're sharing there, we're just doing the best that we possibly can with the information that we have at that time. And we are just tending to react to what is in front of us, and rather than coming from a place of we are creating our future, because that is how we've learned up till, unless somebody's shown you, like you just said, somebody's sent you a LinkedIn message and you've gone in and been immersed into this world. If somebody hasn't put this in front of you, you don't know. So we're just reacting to life, and quite often people just have no idea about what they're, I'm sure many can resonate. They probably know that they occasionally press that self-sabotage button, whichever button that is for them, because they're all
Yes.
different. It's crazy that, my goodness, we could catch this way back then when
Yes.
maybe not children, maybe not quite ready to deal with that, but definitely going into early adulthood, so that you can change the programming and have, there you go, happiness is a
You're
choice
exactly
anyway.
right. You're exactly right, Karen. And you touched on it where actually this can be learned at a very young age. This was developed by, I'm going to give a plug for Shirzad Samin of Positive Intelligence. He even wrote a book. So I recommend to all the listeners and viewers out there, if you're really interested in understanding the comprehensiveness behind this, it's written by Shirzad Shamin and it's called Positive Intelligence. And that's what this whole thing is based on. He did what is called a three-factor analysis at the beginning of this and found that the root cause of most people's stresses, in fact, not most, all people's stresses, anxiety, depression, doubt, frustration, anger, all of these things are based on saboteurs. He also discovered that they're innate within every human being. He discovered that these saboteurs were survival mechanisms when we were children. They actually help us survive. But there again, as I said earlier, we hold things near and dear to us because we're familiar with it, even though they're sabotaging us. So when he explains in his book and through the process, it's like picture yourself having your hand on a hot stove, right? Once that heat is turned up, how long are you going to keep your hand on that stove? One split second. So this is where you would also mention this. Most people don't fix something if they don't know it's broken. But once you realize what's broken, then you can begin to fix it. So it's just like having your hand on that hot stove. When a saboteur appears, it appears for a reason. There is something that needs attention, no matter what it is. It could be I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling stressed, or anger, or depressed. So if you're feeling these things, then the process that you learn going through this course is how to label the saboteur of what it is, how to anchor it through doing what is called a PQ rep, and then moving to SAGE. So just as everybody has all of these 10 saboteurs within us, we also have SAGE powers. And the SAGE powers, the foundation of SAGE powers are empathy, curiosity or exploration, innovation, navigation, and then activation with clear laser focus. And when you learn how to do this, you literally rewire the neurological pathways within your brain to understand that when a saboteur appears, you automatically know how to react to it, move from saboteur to SAGE. And through SAGE perspective, we find that there are gifts and opportunities in everything. In fact, what made this crystal clear to me, and I'll do the quick short version of it, is when Shirzad shares, it's a fable, a Chinese fable, and it's called the White Stallion story. And it's about this old Chinese gentleman who lived in a village, and he had this beautiful white stallion. And he took this stallion and entered it into a contest one day and won. And it was just beautiful. It was like, yeah, it was great. So the whole village came to his house to have a great time with him, everything, and they all congratulated him. And his only response was, who knows the difference between what is good and bad? So the villagers all walked away scratching their head. So a couple weeks later, this horse, some thieves found out about the value of this horse, so they came and stole it. And they took it away. The villagers all came and they were so sorry and everything else. And he looked at him and he said, who knows the difference between what is good and bad? And they all again, okay. Now, a few days later, the stallion returns. It broke away and it brought back a few mares along with it that it picked up along the way. So again, the villagers were like, oh my goodness, yeah, this is great. Again, the response was, who knows what is good and what is bad? About a week after that, his son tries to tame one of the mares, falls off, breaks his leg. 2 weeks after that, the imperial army comes marching through the village and taking all able-bodied males. His son with the broken leg is spared. Who knows what is good and what is bad? And the moral to this is his son could have grown up to be someone that created a cure for something. Or on the flip side of it, he could have grown up to be a crook himself. But the whole thing is, who knows what is good and what is bad? So there are gifts and opportunities in everything. And that's what sage perspective teaches us to do.
Love that, because it is so true. If I can look back at my own story, there are things that I thought were the worst thing that happened at the time,
Mm.
and then it turned out actually to be a blessing. And it's so funny that we get so caught up in the story of the moment, or what's going on around us, that we struggle sometimes to take a step back and look at the big picture.
Yes.
And I suppose that's what I'm personally taking from that story, because it is. Some of my friends hate me using this saying, but I think they misunderstand it. But it is what it is, and when you
Yeah.
can just accept, I suppose,
Yes.
the isness of what is,
Yes. Like that. Very well put.
then you can, because we don't know what's gonna come next, and we are so caught up in either the past or or the imagined.
You're
We're
right.
very
You're
good
right.
at stories, right? They
Yes.
may not be the truth, but we can get caught up in it. But that ability to just step back and look at it from just, that overall point of view, without being emotionally detached, which, oh man, it sounds so easy on
Mm-mm.
paper
No,
and
because
not.
we are emotional beings. That's what we're based on. In fact, saboteurs are negative emotions. Sage perspective is positive emotions. Okay, so we are naturally emotional people. And you touch on where, yeah, the difference between knowing what is good or what is bad, we really don't know. And I look at it this way: the reason being is most people, when a problem arises, they focus just on the problem when they should be focusing on the solution. When we're in saboteur mode, we can't focus on the solution. All we do is focus on the problem. So, how long should you hold on to a saboteur? Less than one split second. When you realize it's hand on the stove, pull your hand off. So, when a problem occurs, identify the problem and then move that away. Now it's all about focusing on the solution. And that's where, when the sage perspective comes in, utilizing empathy, exploration. And when I say exploration, I'm talking like a curiosity on steroids, where it just really can, you can come up with outlandish things. And that helps you move into, from a creativity standpoint, of navigating this. And then once you've done that, now you're allowed to, through activation, have a clear laser focus. And that's what this program helps build. There are three core muscles that help this program build. And those three core muscles are saboteur interceptor, sage perspective, and self command. Now, self command is meditation. When we meditate, we're self commanding. The objective of meditating is to clear your mind and focus on one thing. But as we know, when we're meditating, thoughts continue to still come into our head. And the objective is to remove those and focus, like breath, breath, breath. Something I have to do tomorrow, breath. Nose itches, scratch, breath, right? So that's how that works. That's self command. Saboteur interceptor is now understanding that you have these saboteurs and what they're all about, but how to identify which saboteur is present. And then through this process called label, anchor through what is called a PQ rep. And what I'm doing right here is literally a PQ rep.
So if you're listening, he's rubbing
I'm
his.
rubbing my two fingers together and I'm feeling the ridges of my fingerprints, which there's a couple of things about that. If you think about it, these are unique to only you. No one else in this entire universe has the same fingerprints or these same ridges. So this feeling is very unique to you. And what this process does is this literally disrupts. It disrupts the saboteur. And now you shift to sage and go through the modalities as, from an empathetic standpoint and with extreme curiosity. How can I navigate this? And through inspiration, how can I actively laser focus on achieving what I need to achieve?
Right. So it sounds like, from what you're sharing, is that you are combining the mental, the physical, and it's acting as a like a pattern interrupt
Yes,
because we
it's
are so common. We all do it. I haven't mastered it yet of being in the present 24 hours a day. We get caught up in things, and if it is a negative thing, y- yeah, and until you are aware of what you're doing, and maybe you can come out of it quicker than maybe others. But so it sounds to when you master this, you know when it's there, you can put in the pattern interrupts, change your focus, as it were, like you just said, change from focusing on the negative, which I suppose is our maybe our conditioning. And I get it. They say it comes from when
sure.
we were hunter gatherers. Yeah, it was needed, right? For
Right.
when we were being chased, but
By
hopefully
large
we're no
creatures.
longer being chased. Hopefully.
Some of us
Hopefully.
like being chased.
Yeah, yeah. So so it sounds like it's combining a few different skills taken from a lot of different modalities for you to, and you use that word, was it self-command? I suppose
Yes.
that is, I suppose, the end game. We are told, I'm sure the listeners have heard over and over, that we can create our own life, that we can choose our own thoughts. Again,
No,
on
that I
paper.
disagree with. I have to stop you right there. We can't choose our thoughts, okay? We cannot control the thoughts that enter our mind. Too many. Our brain is wired that way. It's like a computer that's just okay? We can't control the thoughts that enter our mind, okay? But what we can control is how we react to them.
And
That is
not
the
get
difference.
emotional, not get emotional. But it takes
Well,
practice, right? It's
it
not going to
does. It's
happen
like
overnight.
anything. And that's why this program, in 6 weeks' time, literally within 6 weeks' time, I even guarantee it, in 6 weeks' time, we will change the neurological pathways in your mind. How to understand when these saboteurs occur, how to move from saboteur to sage. And then through continued practice, you just get stronger and stronger. I tell my clients, imagine that the way you process things and the way we perceive information and the way it goes through our minds goes through what are called gullies. Like I live in Arizona, and one of the deepest gullies in the world is the Grand Canyon, right? So imagine what we're looking at here is the Grand Canyon. These are your saboteurs, have been all of your emotions and everything have been flowing through that. And now what we're looking to do, and one of my clients shared this with me just the other day, what we're looking to do is start filling that up with cement. And eventually, what's happening now, we're creating new pathways. And those new pathways, we're moving from the negative to the positive. As a matter of fact, in Sherzad's book and even in his classes, he talks about how this has been done on over 500,000 people around the world, Fortune 100 companies, CEOs, Stanford students, YPO, just literally hundreds of thousands of people, probably close to 1 million now, have found how this works. It's literally changes those neurological pathways. And they have found by doing an MRI on someone at the very beginning, and then 8 weeks later, it shows that there's a decrease in gray brain matter in the left portion quadrant of the brain and an increase in the right. And we know that our saboteurs live in the left quadrant of our brain, and our sage perspective lives in the right quadrant.
Ooh. I love the fact that they are finally
Yes.
bringing the science
Yes.
into this, because I'm sure you before people would have called this a little bit woo, but in my opinion, it's all woo. But I love the fact that we can now do these tests and MRI, so you can, to the skeptics out there that will go, oh, it's just that doesn't
Hmm.
affect what I do. Now you can actually prove it
Yes.
by actually showing these scans, which just, have you noticed a change since they've been doing this? Because has that opened it up to more people to actually sit up and take notice that this stuff works?
See, the thing is that the other great thing about this, and the reason why, as a marketing professional, I looked at this and thought, all right, if I'm going to be a coach, do I want to be a life coach? Do I want to be a success coach? Do I want to be a business coach? There's so many coaches out there, right? When I first took this course, I thought to myself, mental fitness, that's what this is all about. And focusing on that mental fitness, I thought, all right, I'm going to take a look at this. And I came to realize this is only 3 years. Literally, this process is only 3 years old. It's 20 years in the making. And Sherzad himself has been a coach for over 40 years. So 20 years in the making, and then developed this and then launched it 3 years ago. And there are less than 1,000 coaches doing this, such as what I'm doing right now. And the objective is to really help change the world by understanding you don't have to allow these negative feelings to control your life. There is a better way. Look, anybody can be successful and still have their saboteurs running their life. You can make lots and lots of money. You can do all these things and everything else. But I guarantee you, you're not happy. I know. I was a millionaire. I had a beautiful wife. I had a lovely home. I had everything anybody could want. I was miserable. I was stressed. I was anxious all the time. I had employees I had to worry about. All of those things it was not happiness. Now I've found literally my purpose. And what it's all about is feeling. Here's another thing that I'll share with everybody. For the first time in my life, again, 61 years old, I actually love myself unconditionally for being the perfectly imperfect human being that I am. So
Brilliant.
again, 3 years in the making, and now we're on what is called a ground floor opportunity to really help spread this throughout the world. And that's why I'm so thankful and grateful that you and I connected. And here's where I'm looking at an opportunity just to help do that.
I can so relate to all this because, as we've spoken, my background, I have a very physical background dealing with the physical body and physical fitness. And as we all know that people want to take this magic pill, right? If they're 2 stone overweight or if they want to transform their body, they want to do it now. And it's never going to exist. And we all know that it does take time and practice and consistency. You've got to consistently turn up for your workout. You've got to consistently be watching what you eat. You've got to consistently be drinking more water. And yes, you can transform your body. And
Yes.
I think it's just things are changing now that people are starting to realize that we also have mental muscles. And if we want to transform our lives, then we need to start training those mental muscles. So what I'm hearing from you is this is it. This is the mental gym that you need to
That's
be
the
going
mental
to.
fitness aspect of it. And you're right. It's just if you want to develop your body, you have progressive resistance exercise. So the 6-week course, which is called PQ, anybody can go on to Positive Intelligence and do the saboteur assessment, which I shared with you, where you literally see what your saboteurs are. And then you can download the app there. You can purchase the app online there. But then what I did is I thought, as a coach, I found that because I worked with other coaches in this called a pod or a cohort, that I found that together going through this with others made it much more impactful. So that's why I developed what is called a peak performance power process. And it's an additional layer to the PQ process where I help facilitate you through the whole thing. And then I also offer through this 6-week program 3 coaching, 1-hour coaching sessions throughout that 6 weeks. And then the last thing I do with that is there's a pod meeting that you do every week, and I help facilitate that. So it's just an added layer to ensure that you stay on track. And as a coach, part of what we do is to help hold people accountable and make sure that they do the things that they need to do. And we go back to working out. Progressive resistance exercise is what it's all about. So this is, if you can imagine, a 6-week boot camp. And at the end of that, you now have the capacity to literally not stop these thoughts, but how to control those thoughts when they come into your mind. So as physical fitness, you start off, you could walk around the block and you're out of breath. The next thing you know, you keep doing it. Darren Hardy tells it best in his book, Compound Effect, the compound effect. Small, consistent, sometimes painful steps lead to tremendous results. And that's what this is all about.
Oh, every time. And I think everybody can relate to that. The fact that within the fitness industry, let's just to align it like that, is when these apps started coming out and the personal training industry, or even as a group fitness instructor panicking because all of a sudden you can get things like Tybo on DVD rather than come to a class. And there was always a bit of fear because they feared that they would no longer be needed. But the fact remains, we know that just because you could get a free app, really, you could get information out there, download a fitness app. Is it going to make you do it? No. We know fact that working with a personal trainer or having small group coaching, we know the stat. We know that people get much better and quicker results working with a trainer rather than just downloading an app, because, like you just said, it's not even just the accountability. It's not even just that the coach knows more than you. I was 25 years in the industry. I would still take on a personal trainer. It's not about the knowledge. I've got the knowledge. It's not about that. It's about the implementing that knowledge, being held accountable, having peace that has got your back, and then working actually in a small group. Again, you've got that camaraderie and you can egg each other on. And even from a slightly, maybe it could be seen as a negative, but almost it's that bit of FOMO, fear of missing out. You think, oh, if they're doing it every day, I've got to keep up. In a pleasant, not in a negative,
and it's funny that
positive.
you say that too. Yeah. Yes, because that happens. What I do is I form pods of 5 people to go through this 6-week program together. And I found going through these is that, yes, competition does begin. You actually, as you're doing this, it's an app on your phone or on your computer, and you actually watch as your muscles are building. It's literally, there's a gauge on there. And it starts out at 0. And by the time you finish the course, the objective is to get to 400, okay, in 6 weeks' time. Boot camp. So it's like literally, this is not, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But you know what? Anything in life that's worthwhile is not easy. But it doesn't mean it can't be fun. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. It doesn't mean it can't be fulfilling to you. So having that cohort, or those pods, if you will, and that competition, it is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with it. And you're right, as far as the fear goes, I learned this a long time ago. One of my mentors, God rest his soul, taught me this. Fear is false evidence is appearing real. That's all it is. And it's what we concoct in our minds. What I'm afraid of, you may not be afraid of. What they're afraid of, we may not be afraid of. Okay, fear is what we concoct in our minds. So having the ability to really, as I said, we can't control the thoughts that come into our mind, but what we can control is how we react to
them. Yeah, and there it is. That's everything, really. So for you
Yes.
personally,
Yes.
When you had your coach and you're going through this, what changed for you?
Everything, actually. It was literally, if I could put one word on it, it would be an awakening to, we all battle these constantly battling battles going on in our mind. And what I found is going through this course very early on is that it literally started changing how I was perceiving everything in life. Finding the true happiness and joy. In fact, throughout this process, I met a new friend. And that new friend is called life. Most people don't look at life as being a friend. But if you think about it, it's the greatest teacher in the world. It's the one that really opens up all the opportunities for us. And that was something that just really sank deep into me. And then again, I've never loved myself. One of my saboteurs was hyperachiever. In fact, so Judge is the ringleader of all of them, and then there are 9 accomplice saboteurs. And when you take this saboteur assessment, you can see what all of those are. And then when you go into what is called Explore, It breaks down each one of those saboteurs, the thoughts, the characteristics, and the lies, as well as the problems that it really causes in your life. I've been divorced twice. And when I read that hyperachiever, it made perfect sense to me why I've been divorced twice and why things have happened in my life the way they have. Because as a hyperachiever, you might think, what's wrong with being a hyperachiever? You're focusing on being a high achiever and all this other stuff. There's a lot wrong with it. It damages your relationships. It literally causes you not to be happy because all you're doing is focusing on the next goal. When you reach a goal, you reach the top of that mountain, you stop and you go, this is nice. Now where's the next one? Instead of really enjoying being in the present and going, wow, this is awesome. Those feelings just don't come from a hyperachiever perspective. Whereas sage perspective, when you get to the top of that mountain, you live in the present. Look at this. Look at the beauty around me. It's stop and smell the roses, if you will.
That's what everybody is looking for, but they don't necessarily realize it, because we all want, people talk about the work-life balance, and it's something that they saw, but that, yeah, you can get, again, they get caught up. They just get caught up, and it's a one-track mind rather than. And again, all this stuff, I've been a what I'd call a student for many years. Maybe I'm a slow learner. No, but
I doubt that, Karen.
we know some of these things on a certain level, but it's that difference, isn't it? Knowing, actually taking action on it, completely different things, because we can get caught up in one aspect and we all actually want to focus on. Yeah, I mean, it just amazes me that something so simple.
It really is.
It sounds simple, right?
It
Just
is
focus
simple.
on the present moment.
It is simple. It's just as simple as that. Okay. In fact, through the three, it's called a factor analysis. Okay. And the reason why I said those three core muscles are saboteur interceptor, sage perspective, and self command muscle. A three-factor analysis based on, if you can imagine this, thousands and thousands of colors are created by just three: red, green, and blue. Your opportunity to live a fulfilling existence and to have something that you can take with you throughout the rest of your life, total sustainability, is based on those three core muscles: saboteur interceptor, sage command, and sage perspective and self command.
And we've all got them within us.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's learning the keys to unlock those. Because again, going back to that hand on the stove, we feel this come within us and we hold on to it. And I talk to people like, you're depressed right now. Okay. How long have you been depressed? Days. Oh my God. So when you're in depressed mode, when you're in a stress mode, when you're angry, can you focus on anything else other than that? No, there's no way. So it's just the hamster wheel. You're stuck on the hamster wheel. Just keep going round and round. And that's what's going on inside your brain. It's almost like I used to have vinyl records. And whenever it got a scratch on it or a piece of dust, it would just do the same thing. You just bloop, zoop, zoop, right? That's what's going on inside your brain when you're in saboteur mode. When you realize that, pull your hand off that stove, do a PQ rep, switch the focus to sage, it opens up a whole new opportunity. And you touch on present, you brought that to mind a few times, which is great. Being in the present is what it's all about. We cannot change the past. We have no idea what the future holds. What we do have is the present. And being in the present is what a fulfilling life is all about. When you can sit there and not worry about what happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, and just literally be in the present, it's an awakening experience.
Yeah. And like I said, it's on paper, it sounds so simple. Why is it that so many people, we've been conditioned to find that so difficult? Because I'm sure if you just went out and found 10 people on the street, you'd be lucky if one of them 10, you're never going to do it 24 hours a day. No, we know that. But in general, for somebody who is generally living in the present moment, I would suggest, I don't know, I'm not an expert, I'm just throwing this out there, that I would think that you'd be lucky if you found 1 out of 10.
Oh, yes. If that, even. You might
Yeah.
not even find that 1 out of 10.
So
Okay.
where have we gone so wrong as a whole society, where we've come away from this way of being, which that is our being? We've come away from being, haven't we?
Yes.
We
Well,
need to,
there's a lot of factors that, because we're in the digital age, okay? Like I was in digital marketing, and I used to say this all the time. There's nothing social about social marketing or social media. There's nothing social about it at all. It's actually broken down the social aspect of human connection. Human connection is this, and this is a great opportunity. This is something that has spawned what we're doing right here, has spawned out of a problem that occurred, shut down the whole world, and now everybody's doing this online. But it still doesn't take the place of true human interaction. And when you are sitting there with somebody and you're having a discussion with them or whatever the case may be, just having that ability to just be in the present with them, not worrying about yesterday or tomorrow or what's going to happen an hour from now, but being in the present. And a lot of it, I think, revolves around, at the root of it, we're selfish people, okay? But when we realize that in order to be selfless, we first have to learn to love ourselves unconditionally. We have to respect ourselves unconditionally. We have to realize that we are perfectly imperfect and there's nothing wrong with it.
yes, I love that. I love that, because so many are striving for perfection, which is crazy because they'll never get
What is
there.
perfection?
Yeah,
Perfection, there's
it doesn't exist. It's a myth.
exactly. Yes.
It's a
In fact,
myth.
that's one of your saboteurs. Okay? It's called stickler. Everything has
Mm.
to be perfect. No, it doesn't.
You'll never get there if you're
You'll
waiting for
never
things.
get there. You'll never get there. It'll never go out. In video production, I learned this a long time ago in video production, where editing something over and over again. And one of my associates looked at me one day and he said, "You know what?" He goes, "You need to realize that, look at it like a canvas and a painter. And a painter realizes that one more stroke of the brush screws the whole thing up. And that's like trying to find perfection. There's no such thing as perfection."
Mm. I love that word kaizen, the Japanese word kaizen.
Eyes.
Just constantly improving. That's all we can do.
Sure.
Um,
Evolving, just
yeah.
continuing to grow, learning. Life is a journey, and it's something that we should love to do. We should be happy. Don't sit there and do the once I get here, I'll be happy. Oh,
Mm.
now I'm here. Once I get this, I'll be happy. No, be happy now. You've got everything you need. There are gifts and opportunities in everything. Be happy with just knowing that. And you touched on the reason why most people don't hit that sustainability, which I think Shirzad has literally found that with this program, is that they don't stay with it long enough. The cool thing is with this app, right, is you go through the 6-week boot camp with my coaching with it. And then at the end of it, you have two options. You can keep the app for a whole year and continue to do the daily focuses, the coach challenges, and the PQ gym, okay, for an entire year. Or you can move to what is called grow. And grow is where you start learning to take these applications and use them in real life. Conflict management, stress management, identifying saboteurs in other people. What I've learned through this is that saboteur ignites saboteur. So, perfect example. If I'm in a bad mood and I come and get together with you, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the outcome is going to happen? I'm going to ignite your bad mood saboteur.
Yeah, that's
It's-
why people around, if you have got somebody that's just sucking, I call them energy vampires. They just somehow suck the energy out of you, unless you have the tools to
yes,
not let
sure.
their negative energy affect you, and you carry on. But it's a skill, and it takes practice.
You're
That's
right.
what
And what also is going to happen is because you now understand a saboteur is present and how to label it, anchor it, and move to sage, as you ignite your sage begins to ignite their sage.
so it has a ripple effect.
Yes, exactly.
it, has, it has a
You know, if
ripple
somebody
effect.
came running at you and screaming and yelling their head off, and you just went, I'm sorry, what seems to be the problem? How can I help? What do you think is going to happen? You think that person
Yeah.
is going to continue to scream? No, they're going to lower.
Diffuse the situation. That's why, yeah, some people's natural thing would be to react in the same way, but you can diffuse the situation. So,
Yes.
for you, who are the people that you tend to work with the most? Who are you looking for?
This is good for PQ is good for anybody in the world. Everybody should take this. I recommend it. Everybody should take this. But my practice focuses on entrepreneurs, small, medium sized businesses, salespeople, sales professionals, and C suite executives. So that's the primary focus.
And so, for if they're watching this on YouTube or any of the social media platforms, then they'll have your details down below. But if anybody's just listening to this on the radio or via podcast, then how do they find you?
So my website is tailoredresults.com. The name of my company is Tailored Results Coaching. I also have a YouTube channel that's titled Tailored Results.
Now,
Um,
is that, sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. Is that as in the what you'd think it'd be tailored, or is that because your surname is Taylor with a Y?
yes, what I did is when I came up with the company's name, and there's a long story behind that. We don't have time for it, but it's a spin off my name. For the listeners, it's TAYLORD results.com. Okay. So yes, it is a spin-off, and thank you for helping me clarify that because it's a TAILOR. No,
Yeah,
it's TAYLOR. The apostrophe D is the name of the company, but it's TAYLORD results.com. That's how you
fantastic.
can find me.
And can you share any sort of results, or what are the sort of results that people can expect from your coaching services?
Sure. As a matter of fact, we just finished 2 weeks ago my first pod, 5 people in it. Out of that, two of them are going on to grow, which is great. They've already begun the process of that and to grow. One client specifically has been in this profession for over 30 years and found that, wow, I'm not really interested in continuing down this road anymore. And was being held back because of the fear and really not understand. Controller was this person's biggest accomplice saboteur. And that controller made everything like I have to be in control of everything. It's just like everything else we've been talking about, being perfect and everything else. There's no such thing as control. We
Another myth.
can't. The only thing we can control, all right, is how we react to the thoughts that come into our mind. We can control ourselves. This person now, as a matter of fact, has moved into grow, and now we're developing strategies because of my background. I'm coaching them through building out a new company and actually a new direction. Another person has found happiness, true happiness for the first time in their life, been miserable. In fact, the great thing that I love about being a coach and what I do is when I first meet someone and I see the way they are, I have them do the saboteur assessment. And then there's another assessment that goes with this. It's called a SAGE assessment. Seeing where they are at that point in time and that at the end of this, and just seeing this 180-degree, totally different person that now loves themselves and really understands that I am perfectly imperfect. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. That's where the true happiness and the fulfillment comes in. I've got
Yeah.
people that just started another pod last week, and they're already like, I call them aha moments. These aha moments. Oh, wow. When we get together and we share in the pod meetings, it's like, I had no idea. And now that I can see this, it's, oh, I've been beating myself up all this time. And now I don't have to do that. There's an opportunity to go a different direction.
Brilliant.
Those are just a couple of the experiences that so far, my objective is to help literally hundreds, if not hundreds, thousands of people annually with this.
And what would you say is the real uniqueness of, there's lots of programs that are talking about your mindset and how you think and feel, and maybe doing inner work or shadow work or inner child work and getting rid of old beliefs. There's so many different modalities out there. What do you think your one, what is the uniqueness specifically?
Sustainability. Most of these courses, look, I've done a lot of coaching. I've been the participant in coaching courses throughout my life. And there again, what happens is the sustainability falls off because you haven't built those three core muscles: the factor analysis, right? Saboteur interceptor, sage perspective, and self command muscles. When you begin to build those, they literally start to take control. You will never get rid of your saboteurs. They're there for a reason. Pain is good. Pain is good. Pain lets us know something needs our attention. But to hold on to that pain is bad, real bad, because you can't accomplish anything. When you learn these processes of literally the simplification, that's the other thing that why the uniqueness is. It is very simple. This is so simple, rubbing my two fingers together and changing my perspective just by doing that. And now having the tools and the understanding that I can come at anything life throws at me through an empathetic, explorative narrative and activation with clear focus. And that's the uniqueness of this. This will be with me for the rest of my life. Okay.
And I suppose that is the difference. A lot of people, they can read a book and have an aha moment, or they can watch a YouTube video, or the next stage would be going to an event. There's something very powerful about being in a live event with things, because taking you out of your normal environment, or even a retreat, right? That's why they are so powerful. But yes, we know that. But when they go back to their
Once we
normal
go back to life,
habitat,
all of a sudden, boom, life starts hitting us and all these challenges. And it literally puts us in saboteur mode.
right?
And when we're in saboteur mode, we forget all about those things because
Yeah.
we're being sabotaged. So that's
Yeah.
the uniqueness. We know what's broken, and now we know how to fix it. And it's
keep it fixed.
sustainable. How difficult it is to forget that when you feel stressed, to just rub your two fingers together. Or you're
Right.
angry, rub your two fingers together. Or you've got to deal with something, rub your two fingers together. How difficult is that? Simplification at its best.
There you go. And it's always, we have, and I'll say we, I'll put myself in that box specifically. We can all overcomplicate things, and it's always is the simple things that actually work
Yes.
long term. Keep it
Yeah.
simple. I won't say
Yeah.
the last word. But look, thank you so much for your time today. As always,
Oh,
Todd,
Karen,
it's an absolute
I'm
pleasure
humbled
speaking
and
with you.
grateful. Thank you so much. I've
Great
really
to have you on
enjoyed
the
this
show.
opportunity.
Thanks for being here. And to the listeners, I will be back on Monday, so have a great weekend. And if there's any other coaches out there, you guys should know what we do now. We're here to help coaches get their message heard. If you want to be a guest, or if you've ever thought about hosting your own show, we have many slots on our radio station, Mintwave Radio. So come and have a chat. You can go to karenrobertscoaching.com/discovery, book a call, just come and have a chat, come and have a coffee chat with me and see how we can help you get set up, have your own podcast, or how to use AI to get more leads into your business so you can sell more online coaches. Feel free to get in touch. So Thanks once again, Todd. You have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I will be back after the weekend. So bye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a